Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So on the agenda tonight we have Harry Chapin, and this is going to be Harry with a live performance of his 1972 track Taxi. So let's get Harry up on screen and see how he gets on.
It was raining hard in Frisco. I needed one more fare to make my night. A lady up ahead waved to flag me down. She got in at the lights. Oh, where you going to, my lady blue? It's a shame you ruined your gown in the rain. She just looked out the window. She said 16 Parkside Lane. Something about her was familiar. I could swear I've seen her face before. But she said, I'm sure you're mistaken. And she didn't say anything more. It took a while, but she looked in the mirror. Then she glanced at the license for my name. A smile seemed to come to her slowly. It was a sad smile, just the same. And she said, how are you, Harry? I said, how are you, Sue? Through the too many miles and the too little smiles, I still remember you.
And I'm just going to jump in here because I have watched this video 2 or 3 times actually all the way through, and I suggest that you don't stop it like I'm doing, because you'll get a real appreciation of the storytelling and the lyrical content as well, but also the way that this has been put together just compositionally by Harry for this live setup. It's so well done that it actually takes you a few watches through just to really get an appreciation of it, because obviously you're listening to the story and the lyrics and you might not notice these little elements where just Harry starts off playing fingerstyle on the guitar. I always say it that singing and playing at the same time is going to double the difficulty, so Harry's doing all of that to begin with, but then the way that the bass just subtly comes in, and then also the way that the cello comes in and just adds something different, and those different elements will start to be added as we progress through the track, just to make that journey complete by the time we get to the end of the track. Between the vocals, when Harry takes a little break from the vocal, he goes into a little sus2 fill, just to make it interesting, to make the guitar sing and have a voice in between his vocals. Of course, the way that Harry's playing fingerstyle here, because he's making it look so easy and you're focusing on his vocal and the lyrics, you don't really appreciate what's going on with that right hand, just continually playing and never missing a string, never missing a beat here. So it just works so well together because he is so consistent. What makes me laugh is I saw a documentary on Harry where in the intro they said about when he started making music and singing and releasing material, the critics pretty much didn't give him the time of day. They said that he had a weak voice and he wasn't good at this and wasn't good at that. But then Harry goes on to sell over 16 million records, and all 14 singles that he released was #1 in different countries at different times. So it shows you what the critics know. Getting back to Harry and his vocal delivery, because he's got that classic storyteller vocal that I always mention with these kind of performers, and a lot of folk artists as well, that have that great delivery that's almost like talking on pitch. And it's so relaxed and it's so easy to listen to that it pulls you into the story, and Harry certainly fell into that category of someone who could absolutely captivate an audience. But let's jump back into the performance.
It was somewhere in a fairy tale. I used to take her home in my car. We learned about love in the back of a Dodge. The lesson hadn't gone too far. You see, she was gonna be an actress, and I was gonna learn to fly. She took off to find the footlights, I took off to find the sky. Something inside me to drive a princess blind. There's a wild man, the wizard is hiding in me, illuminating my mind. I've got something inside me, but it's not what my life's about. 'Cause I've been letting my outside tighten over till my time runs out.
I'm just going to jump in here again because what a fantastic contrast we had there. The way that Harry totally changed the dynamics of where he was going. You could see it's almost like having that middle eight in there, just a total detachment from the track, really opening the taps on his vocals as well, leaning into the sound, getting more aggressive with it. And then after that, going straight to John Wallace on vocals here, by the way, who's got that great range, and it almost sounds like a female vocal. It's so clean, but such a great contrast to what we've just heard. Harry actually met John pretty early on because Harry's brothers, Tom and Steve, they were part of the church choir, and John was part of that choir as well. So Harry met John through his brothers. And by the way, John is a baritone and he's got a 5-octave range. So you can hear such great vocal technique, especially in that passage that we just heard. And having that kind of range, but such a clean range as well. Great vocal cords, but also he's playing bass at the same time. And Harry actually started on the trumpet at school. And by the way, he's the son of legendary percussionist Jim Chapin. But the way that Harry plays and his vocal delivery and his confidence, you'd assume that he had been playing in bands his whole life and really from a young age been maybe out gigging, touring, but he was actually into film mostly up until the age of 26. One of Harry's documentaries called Legendary Champions that he directed, that was nominated for an Academy Award, so he was taking that seriously and he was pretty good at it, and that would have been 1968, so that was the age of 26, and he only really started to pursue the music angle from 1971. And once Harry started to focus on music, people could see that this guy had some talent, not only for singing and for playing, but also for songwriting, the hardest bit of all. It seems like Harry just had that in spades, being able to write a great song, but also tell a great story at the same time. So in 1972, he was actually in the middle of a bit of a bidding war between Columbia Records and Elektra Records, because they both wanted to sign him. And that eventually resulted in Harry signing to Elektra Records for a multi-million-dollar deal. And this was back in the 70s, 1972. So we're talking big money here. So in the same year, Harry released his debut album, and that was called Heads and Tails, and that actually went on to sell over 1 million copies worldwide, and that's where this track comes from, Taxi. That's from that debut album. And he was also invited to perform this track on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and when he did perform that evening, they had so many calls after the performance that he was invited the very next day to do the same show to perform again, and that's the first time that that had ever happened with any artist and any performance. And this brings us to the other side of Harry, because not only was he a great musician, but he was also one of the highest paid musicians at the time. He was earning an estimated $2 million a year up until his death in 1981. So you might think that he had a lavish lifestyle and was just living the high life, but absolutely not. Harry was one of these guys that is just a through and through musician, and he was such a humanitarian in terms of the amount of money he gave to charity. To give you an idea, he had thousands, and I mean thousands, of live performances and gigs and concerts that he played, and half of those were for charity, for various charities. I mean, there were over 80 in all, I believe, and all the time he was also trying to spread awareness of starvation and did a lot of work for that, but he was also part of so many societies. He really did spend most of his time giving the money that he made to charity. He very much just kept what he needed to live, and he himself said that money is for people, so he just gave it away to the people that were in need. So it's no wonder that Harry was credited as being the most socially and politically active performer of the 1970s, and also after his death in 1987 he was actually awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for all the humanitarian work that he did. Let's jump back into the video and watch it to its conclusion.
There was not much more for us to talk about. Whatever we had once was gone. So I turned my cab into the driveway, past the gate and the fine trim lawns. And she said, we must get together, but I knew it'd never be arranged. And she handed me $20 for a $2.50 fare. She said, Harry, keep the change. Well, another man might have been angry, and another man might have been hurt, but another man never would let it go. I stashed the bill in my shirt, and she walked away in silence. It's strange how you never know. We'd both gotten what we'd asked for such a long, long time ago. You see, she was gonna be an actress, and I was gonna learn to fly. She took off to find the footlights, I took off for the sky. And here she's acting happy inside a handsome home, and me, I'm flying in my taxi, taking tips, getting stoned. I go flying so high when I'm stoned.
And there we have it. What a fantastic live performance and just all-round arrangement. It's so well played musically here throughout the whole band, but Harry's delivery on that vocal, such a great story, such great lyrics. As I said, check out this whole video. And unfortunately, Harry's another one of those whose life got cut short. He was only 38 when he died, and that was in 1981, and that was just 10 years after his debut album, which this track comes from. And the story from what I've read is that Harry was driving, it was just a car accident, and he did put his hazard lights on, and then seemed to lose control of the car a little bit, and really did slow down. So people could see that something wasn't right because he had those hazard lights on. But unfortunately, a guy driving a trailer truck or tractor trailer truck, so it was a pretty big vehicle, went over the back of Harry's vehicle and it burst into flames. Unfortunately, Harry suffered a cardiac arrest due to his injuries in that crash. And it was actually found later on in court that the company and the driver for that company were 60% negligent in causing that accident. So Sandy, Harry's widow, got an award of $12 million, but because the other company were found 60% responsible, that then got turned down to about $7.2 million. But that was just to cover Harry's future earnings for the next 20 years. And Sandy has used that money to keep Harry's name alive, but also his legacy alive by setting up the Harry Chapin Foundation. So still doing charitable work, and she's involved with that as well as other family members. So Sandy, just an amazing person as well, doing so much work for charity and still keeping those core beliefs and core values that Harry had really at the forefront. But Harry Chapin, what a fantastic storyteller and songwriter, and just all-round musician with his singing and his playing as well. And then on the other side of things, just as a human being, what an inspiration, and did so much for so many people. Thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!